So today I would like to introduce Derek. Derek is the visionary behind Find Magic People, where technology meets spirituality in a seamless blend. As a former web architect turned soulful entrepreneur, Derek has embarked on a mission to bridge the gap between practitioners and their soul clients. So imagine a platform where seekers discover what resonates with their soul, and they easily connect with the practitioners who can guide them on their journey. That's the essence of Find Magic People. For seekers, whether you've stumbled upon something magical and want to explore further, or you're just beginning to realize the transformation power of connecting with light-minded souls, Find Magic People is your compass in the journey of self-discovery. And for practitioners, Derek has crafted a sanctuary where the complexities of technology and communication melt away. No more fretting over website maintenance, optimization, or navigating the intricacies of customer engagement. Let Find Magic People handle the tech so you can channel your energy into what truly matters, your gifts and the profound impact you have on people's life. With Find Magic People, Derek is not just building a platform, he's nurturing a community where technology serves as the catalyst for spiritual growth and human connection. Join us in this magical journey where seekers find their path and practitioners unleash their gifts to illuminate the world. And today, Derek is bringing to us his renowned workshop on Avatar, and I'm going to give the floor to you, Derek.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Um, yeah, so a little bit of background. So Avatar was my spiritual journey. Um, I ran into a bunch of difficulties and I discovered the Avatar tools among several other. I did quite a few workshops, but the Avatar materials were um, just created a space for me to resolve my own issues and work through what I needed to work through in a really well-designed, structured space. So I'll give a little bit of background on the Avatar material. I'll give a little bit more background on Avatar. But one of the things about Avatar is that we're much better when we work together. And so that's what helped lead to Find Magic People is that there's so many efforts and it stopped. I'm not sure when it stopped making sense, but it doesn't really make sense for us all as practitioners to be competing with each other. Trying to, I'm going to stand out against everybody else on Google. No, let's have a space where people can explore us in their own way. And so that's the idea behind Find Magic People. It's really to align our energies so that as a group, the spiritual psychic energy practitioners can really show up in the world collectively instead of individually. So I really appreciate that approach. Um, and so anyway, that I just wanted to give a little bit of context because they're two very different ideas, but there's quite a bit of overlap. And the avatar materials, as a practitioner on Find Magic People, that's what I share. Um, and it kind of creates a space where we each can share and then people can gravitate to the things that really align for them and really make sense. And I think as seekers, people are off all the time wanting to learn more. What else is there? What else can I explore? And so having a space where it's all kind of available is needed. So that kind of gives a little bit of context in terms of what Find Magic People is. In terms of Avatar, what we've got is, I think that what we're looking at today is the attention mini course. And let me see. So what we're going to look at is this attention mini course. It's one of seven pillars of enlightenment that Harry Palmer, who created all the Avatar materials, he created these seven pillars as specific sets of exercises that people can use to refine their skills and understanding on specific areas of consciousness. So attention is the first of the pillars, and it really relates to how we use our attention to experience the world. And so that's what we're going to be exploring. Um, and so if you're interested in self-evolvement and shaping realities, then you're in the right place. That's what we're going to be exploring today. So I'd like to start with introductions. We in general in Avatar, it's an exploration, not a lecture. So the exercises are all things that people should be doing, and we're going to be doing some sharing perspectives. So I'd like to do just brief introductions, who you are, where you're from, and if you're up for it, something that you're grateful for. And I'll start. I'm Derek Stottlemyer, and I'm in Michigan, near Detroit, Michigan, in the U.S. And I am grateful to have. I was just at a 6 day course with, I think, 1,200 Avatar masters from over 40 countries in Orlando, and it was just a breathtaking experience to be together for the first time in 5 years with a growing collective of awesome people. So that's something that I'm grateful for. Carmelina, are you up for sharing
Sure.
and introducing yourself?
My name is Carmelina. I reside in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I am grateful for being connected to spirit um, every second of the day. I feel their presence, and I feel my avatar's presence. So this topic very much interests me. Thank
Excellent.
you.
hmm My pleasure. And Dominique, would you like to introduce yourself, or is that not? I'm sure everybody knows you, but
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. Yeah, I'm Dominique from Intention and Flow, and I am, it's what I'm grateful for, right? I'm grateful
mhm.
for life. I'm grateful for having understood that I need to prioritize me to be able to be a better we. This is what I'm grateful for.
Very nice, very nice. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. So, and um, so I've got oh, and Carmelina, if you the attention mini course, I shared the link, um,
I
and
have the
Do you want me to
oh
share all the seven pillars, Derek, in the chat?
well, the one that you shared is pillar two, which is belief management, which I think I shared that with you. I hope that's not the one that I sent out
It
because
is.
that's
Let's
actually,
just tell
oh,
me which
okay.
one you want me to share.
It's the attention mini course. I apologize. That's
No worries. Okay, so I only have the seven pillars. I'll find the other one and we'll share it.
okay. And I'll be going through it. So you don't need to have it, but it's useful. I mean, I think most people like to look and see it as they have it. I'm the belief one is really fantastic. That's one that I've shared with a lot of people. So I'm just not quite. This isn't the president anyway. Uh,
yeah, I don't even know how to share a screen, or I would suggest that. So I'm not well versed in Zoom.
mhm. Okay, perfect. There it is. So if you'd like to download that, you can. And other than that, let's get started. So this is the mini course, and I'll just be reading start from the beginning, and I'll read slowly, but yeah, just listen along for just a minute, and I'll ask some questions as well. So the basic attention management. This mini course explores ways in which human attention, the most valuable of all commodities, can be preserved and even restored. The course will focus on experiential exercises that are self-instructive. The entire course can be repeated many times, with a deeper unfolding occurring with each run through. So the first thing I wanted to ask was, I'm sure everybody has different practices and things that they do. So I just like to get a sense of what kinds of do people have practices around mindfulness or attention management? Are there things that you do just before we get started? Would anybody like to share?
As for me, the way I pay attention in my now is to acknowledge everything, good, bad, and ugly. So if I'm not in the moment, I'll call myself out on it just so that I become more aware of it. So that's what I
Hmm.
do.
Hmm.
I don't beat myself up. I'm just like, hey, you know, gotta be more
Hmm.
mindful of that kind of thing.
Hmm. Gotcha. Okay, but there's partly a recognition of where you're at, and then it sounds like an intention to allow everything good, bad, and ugly.
Well, to an extent, but I allow myself to be acknowledging of it so that I can become better, a better person, build on it. So I become more cognizant of that because now I've acknowledged it and I'm less likely to allow that to happen again
Hmm.
if it's not a good
Hmm.
is what I'm talking about.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. Dominique, do you have anything that you'd like to share? Do you have any practices or?
I practice releasing anything that doesn't serve me all the time.
Hmm.
Like I don't need to put an alarm anymore, but I used to have an alarm and actually be aware that I link with everything, right? Because everything is energy and I'm an empath. So I link to everything and
Hmm.
I get to choose what I link to so that I get to choose which levels of consciousness I'm accessing. So I constantly stop and have the intention to release anything that doesn't serve me.
Hmm. That sounds very deliberate. That's great. And yeah, the practice of it, the practice, not like you do it once and then you're done. Yeah. So excellent. So let's see um so in a little background, and then we'll get into the mini course. Harry Palmer is the creator of the Avatar materials, and he's an educator that in 1980, I think about 1987, created a series of techniques that just about anybody could apply that unlocked the secrets of help people unlock the secrets of consciousness. So it helped people discover their own path to unlocking, how their consciousness operates. And so all of these mini courses have specific techniques that I'll be sharing and kind of a framework for looking at, in this one, how attention works. In others, there's belief management, where you look at how your beliefs are shaping your experiences. There's a mini course on will, which is really fascinating, where you explore motivations and being deliberate, what it feels like to be deliberate. Um, so hopefully this will be a lot of fun for everybody, and thanks for taking the time to explore it with me. Um, and one other thing, the Avatar course is global, so I think it's been delivered in over 150 countries worldwide. So like the course I was just at, there were people from over, I'm not sure how many, but over 40 countries in one building. So it was very cool. Just a microcosm of working together. So the next part of the mini course, I'll just read a couple chapters before we get to a couple paragraphs before we get to the first exercise. So the introduction: every being is endowed with a certain amount of attention. It appears this amount varies from individual to individual and also varies in the same individual according to time and circumstances. Compare the condition of your attention after you've been up all night to when you've had a good night's sleep and feel fresh. This variation in attention has been observed in religion, philosophy, mental health, and of course, self-improvement courses. The concerns are always pretty much the same. How can someone acquire more free attention or better use what they have? These concerns have spawned hundreds of mental processes and meditative techniques, but few, if any, have been as effective as the exercises taught in Resurfacing, section 1 of the Avatar course. So that's a workshop that I think June 14th, there's going to be a Zoom workshop coming up. So I'm going to skip to exercise 2, which, if you're looking at it, is on page 4 of the mini course, and it's called Stick Around. So step 1 is for several minutes, shift your attention around the room and notice how it sticks for a few moments here or slides by stuff there. So we're going to take just a minute or two, and I'd like everybody to just shift your attention around the room and just notice how it behaves. Where does it stick? Where does it seem to slide off stuff? Okay. And then the second part, in a safe space, close your eyes and review the events of the last week. And notice how your attention still lingers on certain memories, while other memories seem to have been filed away. So let's take a minute and just review the events of the last week and notice how your attention moves. What does it stick on? What seems to have been filed away?
What you doing? In the meeting. Okay.
All right. So how was that? Was there anything that you noticed in doing that? Were there things that your attention? Go ahead.
Well, for me, I'm constantly analyzing myself because I realized that in past lives I've been a psychiatrist, which is that's why I constantly analyze myself. Now it makes sense. It didn't before. But
Hmm.
so I don't I've already processed through that. So I don't have anything that lingers, even though it's Tuesday,
Hmm.
is what I'm trying to say. So I just don't let don't let anything stick that doesn't serve me. Like Dominique, if it doesn't serve me, it's not going to stick. It's not going to stay with me.
Hmm.
Because
But is it?
I
Mhm,
cycle out fast. It's not that I don't process through it or think about things. I do, but I
mhm,
cycle out of that pretty fast. It doesn't linger
mhm. Okay.
for me.
So, mhm. So did you like did you review the events of the past week? Were there events that you that came to mind?
Well, like there was a wedding,
Hmm.
so there was some things that came up there, but that those things were processed like the second day after. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So they're no longer like if you're asking me what stuck, there's nothing stuck, is what I'm trying to say,
Hmm.
because I've already processed that event.
Hmm.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we're just different places, that's all. I mean, in life.
Well, it sounds like there's an assumption that sticking is only on bad things.
No, sticking could be good things too, but I'm a pretty neutral person on purpose.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
guess I should say that too, that I'm a pretty neutral person.
Yeah. No, I think that's, I mean, and it's good to notice like when something has a charge, and I mean, I'm not sure that everybody uses the same language, but for me, charge is a pretty common term for something that evokes a response.
Yeah,
And
it's
so,
energy. It's an exchange
hmm
of energy, good, bad, or indifferent.
hmm
Yeah, yeah, I
yeah,
agree with that.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it's interesting. Like, I've in looking around the room, this is an exercise that I've done quite a few times, and it's interesting because at different times, I'll notice. Um, it was interesting to notice that like, oh, my mind, I mean, I don't want to pay attention to a wall. I want to pay attention to the things on the wall. It's like, oh, okay, well that's, makes sense. But it's just sort of like a notice of how attention behaves on its
Mhm,
own.
mhm.
So it can be interesting to just notice what you notice. But yeah, um it can indicate hidden influences, but it doesn't necessarily have to. And
Right. Yeah,
yeah, but it's
it's true. We all can have biases, whether we
yeah,
realize it or not. I get that. I agree with
hmm
that. Yeah.
yeah,
Very nice.
yeah. Well, and it's interesting. I think that and it could be like fun looking around the room. I'm in my son's room, and it's like he's I just this is the best room with a desk, but there's some areas in his room that I hadn't noticed before. Like, oh, I hadn't seen that before, and it's amazing what we don't even notice.
Right. That's
So,
true.
um, and Dominique, did you want to share anything, or you don't have to? I was just curious what your.
So I'm a little bit like Carmelina, where I live in neutrality, one with it all. So, and it's all a question of perspective. But I see where you're coming from, right? It
Hmm.
is I lived in the Caribbean a lot of my life, and people would not see the Caribbean anymore, where every day I was in awe with the Caribbean, and now I'm in the mountain and I'm just in awe with all the different shades of green, where people don't even see the greens anymore. So yeah,
Hmm.
being aware of what's hanging on the walls.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So was that what you were putting attention on? Was could you see the mountains, or not so much?
I mean, they're right in my face. I see them all
Hmm.
the time, but I never stop seeing them. So I don't stop paying attention. I'm always paying attention, aware. Like I'm always, my intention is to not stop paying attention, if that makes any sense.
Oh,
Brava.
absolutely. Hmm.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, no, I think that the yeah, I think well, anyway, yeah, I think that there's I mean, I think that there's a section where we're looking at free attention and fixed attention, and there's several different types. And I mean, you guys have clearly done enough. You've done work that you have lots of free attention, and it might be that some of the other areas you might find yourself in at times or not. But I think everybody kind of fluctuates. So, but let me move on to let me read a little. Well, let's see. I think we can hold off on, yeah, so let me read some more that gives a context for the different types of attention. And this might align with how, like, things that you've done or not, but it might be a use, but I think it's a really useful context to recognizing how attention works. So the behavior of attention. Some things have a Velcro quality, while others have a Teflon quality. Attention sticks to the Velcro and slides off the Teflon. Most people can feel the difference between looking at the floor and looking into a stranger's eyes, or between personal mail and junk mail. If you are in a location that is familiar to you, you may find that the stickiness or slide-by force is the same for everything. If so, redo the exercise in a space that is new to you. You may also discover that there is a difference in the behavior of your attention for different emotional states, attitudes, and physical conditions. Every person has a finite allotment of attention at any given time. This can be demonstrated by giving a person more and more tasks until their allotment of attention runs out. For example, pat your head and rub your belly while counting backward from 20 by threes. Have you ever heard yourself say, "Don't bother me right now"? You are giving someone the signal that your allotment of attention is occupied. For purposes of discussion, the allotment of attention can be divided into quantities called attention units. We can classify these attention units into several categories based on the way they behave. At one end of the scale, we have attention units that are unbiased and that we can direct, self-directed. At the other end of the scale, we have attention units that stay fixed on something, unconsciously fixed. In between, in descending scale, we have biased attention units, other directed attention units, and disoriented attention units. See the scale of attention behavior below. Biased attention units have preferences. Other directed attention units follow or rebel against orders. Disoriented attention units are confused. So I don't know if you have it, but there's this chart with these kind of Gumby characters. So it just
Uh,
kind of goes through the different types. So you have the free attention units, which are over here, and those are self-directed. And then the biased attention units and biased, let me just have it somewhere else so I can see it while I'm showing it. So the free attention units observes without judgment, interested without attachment. Then the biased attention units um, have preferences. So am I right? Am I, being right, not being wrong? Other directed attention units are follow or rebel against orders. So you can see he's saluting and he's doing a peace sign, but it's just tell me what to do. So as the inclination is to do what you're told or resist doing what you're told, but it's other directed. Disoriented attention units are confused. And so the guy's off balance and he's saying, what was that all about? And the last one is fixed attention unit, which is preoccupied, compulsive, and stuck in a repeating loop. So too busy to talk right now. So those are the different types of attention units that he explores. And it's interesting to notice, there's different ways to handle attention when it's in different patterns. So on one chart it has, you know, how they are upgraded. For each one, it shows how to do it. And the idea is to get as much free attention as you can. So, and yeah, mental exhaustion, irritation, and overwhelm are feelings that arise when the world demands more free attention from you than you have available. The end result of this mini course will be an increase in the amount of free attention that you have available. Um, so the next exercise is a two-way street. Um, so it asks, what happened in exercise 2? Did your attention reflect the preferences of your mind, your likes and dislikes? That's what most people experience. The things that you have strong feelings about, either positive or negative, tend to influence the direction of their attention, while the things that they feel neutral about let their attention slide by. What could it mean? Could it mean that the things you have the things that you pay most attention to reflect what you think about most? That's pretty sensible. But have you ever thought that it might be a two-way street? If you change what you think about, that you pay attention that what you pay attention to changes, and if you change what you pay attention to, what you think about changes. So it's really it's interesting. I don't know if you've explored this, Carmelina or Dominique, but you know, changing what you pay attention to, if how it like does it affect how you think, and if you change how you think, does it affect what you pay attention to? It can be really
So
interesting. Go ahead. Hmm.
for me, yes, you could say that, but it's more changing a perspective that you have so that so that you think differently about that certain thing.
Hmm.
So that's what it turns out to be, you know. If I find
Hmm.
um putting it all in perspective, that's what it ends up for me if I run into something like that, a scenario like that. It's just, where does it affect me? Does it affect me? How does it affect me? Can I change it? What can I do about it? Just me, myself, because in order to improve oneself, in my opinion, it's to really pay attention to how you react and how you feel on any given situation and
Hmm.
maximizing what you get out of it. Even if it's something negative, what did I learn from it?
Hmm.
Did I do all I could to make that a positive experience, even though that's not how it ended up?
Hmm.
Or, whatever it is. So that's how I approach that. What you were depicting
Hmm.
in my
Yeah, I think
mind thinking.
right. No, absolutely. I think like that approach, but that's kind of a like not everybody, if something negative happens, looks for how could I learn from that, or how could that be seen as helpful to me? And I think that that's partly a, a decision that's really helpful. You know, if more people looked at it that way, it can be beneficial, you know,
Right.
but yeah, so it's no, I appreciate that. I and
It's just a
uh
different way of looking at it. That's all. And everybody has their own processes, and some people can't look at things differently because they've not been exposed to that. That's okay too. There's just different ways that people do things, and that's how I process through.
mhm, right. Yeah. But I think it's interesting. Like I know like if I'm going on vacation, then like getting ready for this course that I just went to, like my attention was on the course, and so a lot of my thoughts were on the course, and now I'm back, and it's like okay, my attention, like what my attention on and what I pay attention to
Right.
changes, you know,
Right.
and
It's according to your priorities, and they ought to be. It ought to be what is first and foremost in your now that requires your attention,
mhm,
not forgetting the bigger picture.
mhm,
Right. So yeah, of course it's going to fluctuate like that. Life does that, right? I
mhm,
think it's all in how we embrace what is in our path. What
mhm,
do we do with it? How do we treat it? What do we think about it? Is it healthy? Is it not healthy? Do you want to improve yourself? There's people that sadly don't think there's anything to improve. They're happy with the way they are. And, I shouldn't even say sadly because it's not my path, it's their path.
Hmm.
It's what they feel comfortable with, and that's okay. We all have our roles,
Hmm. Yeah,
you know,
yeah. And I think, yeah, I appreciate that. I think, I mean, it's interesting. I think like a change in viewpoint. I think you said changing viewpoints. That's a big,
perspective.
you know,
Yeah. Mhm.
changing perspective can change everything,
Yes.
you know. And so
Yes.
learning how to be, like, is this perspective working for me? And how do you act, how do you honestly explore and let yourself change perspectives? I mean,
Well,
it can,
you dissect it, I think. At least that's what I do. I dissect it like, how is this affecting me? Do I
mhm,
like it? Well, no, if I don't, then how can I what can I do? Is there something? Sometimes
mhm,
that something is just saying, you know what, I don't like your energy. I don't want to be around you anymore. And you just distance yourself. It could
mhm,
be as simple as that. But, it depends on what it is in life. You really have to understand how it affects you and do you like it? Because if you're
mhm.
not happy and you're not enjoy, then why? I mean, that's just how I feel.
Mhm. Right.
Don't get me wrong, I still have my ups and downs. I still get my sadness and all that. It's just getting out of that as fast as I can.
Mhm. Well, so this two-way street, the example, the exercise, part one is to deliberately force yourself to smile bigger and bigger until you feel happy. So let's all do that. So deliberately smile bigger and bigger until you feel happy.
Well, and it's funny that you said that because I keep a calendar and each week I say smile broadly often on my notes. I write
Hmm.
that and I put a big
Hmm.
smiley face.
Hmm.
And I also say breathe deeply often because that is invigorating and refreshing and renewing for your body.
Hmm.
So, two very important things.
Hmm. Well, like, do you smile? Did you feel happy?
Of course.
Okay,
Yes. Yes. It's
excellent.
good for you.
Hmm. Well, and the next part is to deliberately think to yourself, I'm happy until you smile. So now let's try that. So deliberately think I'm happy until you smile.
It's easy for me because I'm happy,
Hmm.
you know. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But it's
And
interesting.
we're all in charge of that. We're all in charge of whether we can be happy all the time or not
Hmm.
because it's our mindset.
Well, and in this context, yeah, the mindset is partly, I mean, attention, where we put our attention, we experience it. And so
Correct.
when our
Yes.
attention is on negative things, we experience negative things. When we direct our attention to positive things, then that's what
Yeah.
we experience. And so,
Hmm.
that ability to have the nuanced um, skills of managing attention make a world of difference.
Right. Mastering your own mind.
Hmm. Yeah. So the next, there's a couple more exercises I'd like to. There's one other that I'd like to share. There's two others. The next one is baby eyes. It's exercise 4. If you've ever had the privilege of hanging out with a baby and sharing his or her discovery of the world, you probably know what we mean by free attention. In the innocent gaze of a child, there is no self-consciousness, no embarrassment, no judgment. It is a here now presence that has not yet become embroiled in the concerns or preferences of the world. With a little practice, most people can recreate what it feels like to look at the world through baby eyes. So the exercise is looking through baby eyes, shift your attention around the room and notice how your attention behaves. So let's take a minute and do that. So look around the room with baby eyes. And it asks some questions. Does the view seem a bit more panoramic? Is there more appreciation? Are you more attracted to motions rather than to objects? You may not want to look at the world this way all the time, but it offers a contrasting view to how you have grown to see things. All right, and then there's one more exercise that I'd like to share that's um, probably about a 10-minute guided um, exercise called controlling attention. And the objective, this is from the resurfacing workbook. So this is one of the exercises that we'll be doing in that upcoming workshop. So this is exercise 6, controlling attention, and I'll guide you through it. So the objective is to increase your ability to control attention, and the expected results are insights, improved well-being, recovery of self-determinism. Instructions to be read aloud to the group by the group leader, who pauses after each statement, approximately 10 seconds, until the group has complied. So I'll be directing you to look, like the first one will be on the front wall. So the front wall is whatever's the front wall for you. So first, look at the front wall and find something you haven't noticed before. Thank you. Look at the left wall and find something you haven't noticed before. Thank you. Look at the right wall and find something you haven't noticed before. Thank you. Look at the back wall and find something you haven't noticed before. Thank you. Look at the ceiling and find something you haven't noticed before. Thank you. Look at the floor and find something you haven't noticed before. Thank you. Look at the front wall and place your attention on the left wall. Thank you. Look at the front wall and place your attention on the back wall. Thank you. Look at the front wall and place your attention on the right wall. Thank you. Look at the front wall and place your attention on the ceiling. Thank you. Look at the front wall and place your attention on the floor. Thank you. Look at the front wall and place your attention on yourself. Thank you. Look at the front wall and place your attention on the sounds you hear. Thank you. Look at the front wall and place your attention on the bones in your body. Thank you. Look at the front wall and place your attention on the front wall. Thank you. Decide in which direction you are going to look next. Thank you. When you are sure you have decided, look in that direction. Thank you. Decide in which direction you are going to look next. Thank you.
Do it.
When you are sure you have decided, look in that direction. Thank you. Decide in which direction you are going to look next. Thank you. When you are sure you have decided, look in that direction. Thank you. Decide in which direction you are going to look next and where you are going to place your attention. Thank you. When you are sure you have decided, do it. Thank you. Decide in which direction you are going to look next and where you are going to place your attention. Thank you. When you are sure you have decided, do it. Thank you. Decide in which direction you are going to look next and where you are going to place your attention. Thank you. When you are sure you have decided, do it. Thank you. Now, with your eyes closed, put your attention on the right wall. Thank you. Shift it to the left wall. Thank you. Shift it to the right wall. Thank you. Shift it back to the left wall. Thank you. Shift it to the back wall. Thank you. Shift it to the front wall. Thank you. Now divide your attention between the left wall and the right wall. Thank you. Divide your attention between the front wall and the back wall. Thank you. Divide your attention between the floor and the ceiling. Thank you. Divide your attention between the floor and the ceiling and the front wall. Thank you. Divide your attention between the floor and the ceiling and the front wall and the back wall. Thank you. Divide your attention between the floor and the ceiling and the front wall and the back wall and the left wall. Thank you. Divide your attention between the floor and the ceiling and the front wall and the back wall and the left wall and the right wall. Thank you. Now reduce the effort you are using to place your attention on the floor, ceiling, front wall, back wall, left wall, and right wall. Thank you. Okay, reduce the effort you are using even more. Thank you. Once more, take the effort as low as it will go and still allow you to place your attention on the floor, ceiling, front wall, back wall, left wall, and right wall. Thank you. Open your eyes, look around, conclude this exercise. So thank you.
Thank you.
That's one of my favorite exercises. You get a room full of people doing that. It leaves the whole space just feeling so expanded.
Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you for joining in. So yeah, so those are the exercises that I that I've got time for today. There are a few more that are in the mini course, including one. The last exercise is really powerful. It's releasing fixed attention, and that's one that's always until you get comfortable with it, it's best to be guided one-on-one. And the idea is to take any area where your attention is fixed and be deliberate about putting your attention on it, taking it off, putting it on, taking it off, and that peels away layers of the the fixed attention. It's very potent. Um, so if if you'd like to keep exploring, that's something that I'd be happy to do. Um, I mean, I guide people through these quite often um, to share, how how the avatar tools feel and what it's like to work with an avatar master. So
Mhm.
if that interests you, let me know. There's also, if you'd like to learn more about Harry Palmer, he's got quite a few books, series of books. There's their upcoming workshop. So if you'd like to learn more, if you'd like to kind of, if it seems like it's something that would interest you to learn more about,
Mhm.
let me know, and there's several pieces of information I can share. Um,
Okay.
but thanks so much for your time, and
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Dominique.
Thank you, Derek. Thank you, everybody, for watching, and we
Thank
will
you.
see you for the next guest expert.